Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. This episode, we're going to start off with Ben, Ciara, and Possessed Marlena. So, there's a knock on the door, they're at the cabin, and there's a knock on the door. Marlena's all like, no, it could be John. It could be John Black. Don't open the door. I beg you not to open the door. Ben is like, listen, this person, whoever they are, they know that we're here. So they're not going to sit there and stop. And I doubt it's going to be John. So he opens the door. Guy comes in there. I'm sitting there thinking, this could really be a bad idea. I mean, it's almost like the equivalent of sitting there saying, it's a really good idea, and it's not. Picking up the hitchhiker, which is not a good idea, and I cannot stress that enough, but you're like, oh, why don't you come on in? I'm sorry, what? You invite this total stranger into your cabin with your pregnant wife. Okay. So he comes in there. Marlena looks all pissed off. And he says his name is Gabriel. It's like, like the Archangel and stuff like that. Which, by the way, is another name that I really love. Gabriel and Michael. I love Archangel names. But yeah, he comes in, he's like, my name is Gabriel. And, Marlena's looking all, like, really just, like, angry or whatever. I'm starting to think, okay, maybe because, Archangel name. Okay, I get it. So I thought that was it in the beginning. And, of course, throughout the whole time, Marlena's acting all funny and stuff like that. Now, John, which is trying to leave the hospital, talks to Steve, wants to try to find out where Marlena is, trying to guess and just kind of come up with ideas. Also talk about the the exorcism probably didn't take because he wasn't technically a real priest. But he does talk about somebody else that was a real priest. Now throughout this talk, John mentions that he, has somebody else in his corner pretty much. Gabriel. And Steve was like, oh, you mean, like, Gabriel? Like he had wings and a flaming sword? The second time somebody said a flaming sword. Let's just sit there and say I saw it on the show. I'm not going to say which one it is, because I don't want to spoil it. But, is that actually a thing? Like, archangels and, like, swords that, like, are flaming swords? Is that a thing? Yeah, he was, John was like, no, just a guy in denim and regular dude, pretty much. Said that, he helped him out. And Steve was like, so what happened? Did he go toe-to-toe? And John was like, no. He was like, technically, he said he couldn't interfere. And that's when I was like, alright, so let me get this straight. Yeah, celestial being, the devil, that's just causing all sorts of havoc. I'm like, let me get this straight. So you tell me that he can just interfere with humans and things of that nature, but Gabriel can't? How does that work? I don't understand that. Because even when they were like, talking telepathically and stuff like that, the devil pretty much was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it, and you can't interfere. And Gabriel's like, yeah, well, I can't, but, that doesn't mean I'm not going to sit there and be watching you. I'm like, what? How? Now I know that I didn't watch it back in the 80s or 90s or 25 years ago. And so, when I'm sitting there talking about this, like, why is able to do this? Why is able to do that? Why they can't do this? I know it sounds, kind of dumb to the people that actually watched it. So I get that. but I just don't understand how you have one angel that could pretty much do almost whatever they want, or I'm starting to thinking, I was like, well, technically, in reality, I don't think that he could. And I'm not saying that name anymore because it's starting to creep me out. Because if he wanted to kill John Black, he would have just did it instead of trying to get Susan to do it. And as far as causing chaos and whatever destruction, technically he didn't really do it. He just practically brought people back from the dead to do it. So maybe he can't really interfere too much either. I don't really know how the rules work. Anyway, towards the end of the episode, with him, which I'm not going to sit there and say anymore, Gabriel, Ciara and Ben, they make some dinner or whatever, and, they say prayer. And there was one point where Gabriel was like, alright, so everyone hold hands. And Ciara, extends her hand to Marlena. Marlena's like, I'm just sitting there thinking, none of this is striking either of you two as odd. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just really surprised that he decided to take his pregnant wife with him. To go to his cabin and make sure that Marlena's safe from John Black. I mean, you saw how he was acting, and you think this is a good idea to bring... You know what, I'm not even... No. I'm not going to get a headache since they're trying to think about the logic in that. So, Philip knocks Brady out with a crowbar. I'm just thinking... Isn't that your nephew that you just whacked over the head with a crowbar? Because, so you're fighting over a woman and you think the best solution with your family member is to damn near kill him or probably put him in a coma. Okay, sure. That makes sense. You are... Wow. So this whole time... After he drags him away in the middle of the, daytime, this guy couldn't even wait till night, he talks to Chloe, and, Chloe's like, I got the food, it's all cold and everything like that, I had to start eating it, where were you? And this is when Philip was like, you know what, let's go out. How about we go to the tree? Because when he got in the room, Chloe was like, you smell like manure. And, Phil was like, I thought it would be a good idea if we go and check on the tree and stuff like that. So he takes Chloe to the tree. And of course it's ripped down. She's like, what's going on? What happened? I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so this is where you're going to, reveal that that they've been sleeping together even though they weren't. But he puts Brady's watch near where they pulled up the tree. And so Philip was all like, it was Brady. He did it. He ripped it up. He was so jealous and, this is what he does. And Chloe's like, yeah, that don't track. That doesn't seem like something he would do. None of that makes any damn sense. And so, Phil was like, oh, you defending him? Long story short, I thought he was actually going to sit there and confront her right then and there. I don't know exactly what he's doing at this point, and I'm not going to lie, part of me just kind of started to just not care. Here's the thing, this whole him believing that Chloe cheated on him, his paranoia, okay, fine. And it just so happens that he eavesdrops right when Brady is like, oh, I won't sit there and tell anyone about the sex on the counter. He just walked in on that specific time. So part of me kind of was just like, I'm starting to not care. Really starting not to care. There was one point where Chloe leaves. This is when they go to the tree, and he's like cursing her out and practically calling her a whore, this, that, and the third. I'm like, wow, I don't. This is something that I said in my GH review. Okay, I can never understand how two people that says that they're in love with each other. You ever see those couples that like really argue and fight and curse and scream, say all the most terrible, nastiest things possible to someone that they said that they love? And I just don't understand how you can get to a point where somebody you say that you love are just having these arguments, these yelling and calling each other's names. Like, I've been accused of being passive aggressive, but I just don't understand it. And so when Philip is sitting there calling her names, even before, like yesterday, when he was like, "Oh, you're a whore," just like what my father said, it's like, really, bro, really? Is that how you felt about her all along? I just don't understand how you can go to that extreme. I don't get it. Anyway, I think they go somewhere else, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie, like halfway through I was like, this is just this is kind of dumb. It's something. I will sit there, as weird as it sounds, I was watching GH earlier, and while there was some really nice moments in the episode, it didn't go anywhere. And so I always give this show a lot of props, especially when I feel like this show or this episode would do better than GH's episode. And so on that front, yeah. But also, just like what are we doing? Now we're knocking, he's knocking over his nephew, and he's practically, like, towards the end, I think that's what happened. Towards the end, Chloe sees Brady, like, all bloodied up or whatever, and like a knife, like, either on his chest or like near him, and I'm just like, what are we doing? What is this supposed to be? I don't understand. Like, I feel like this may be like, oh, she's gonna confess her true feelings towards Brady, and he's gonna like and Philip's gonna catch her in the act, and be all like, oh, I got you. I knew that this is how you felt all along, and then he's just gonna feel like a complete jackass. And I was rooting for my guy Philip. I was rooting for him. He started off with me calling him a man-child, and he really did grow on me. And then just like that, you just... Pauline talks to Abe again and apologizes again. And it gets to a point where even Abe is like, alright, listen, why don't you tell me something that I haven't already heard? She says he's the best thing that's ever happened in her life. She once again tells her tragic backstory, how she did, she did this for the best, for Lonnie and stuff like that. And you know what? I'm sitting there thinking, alright, so let me get this straight. You lied to him out of greed. And now, granted, even with your best intentions of why you did what you did, you still lied to him. Now, granted, she wasn't the only person that concocted this lie, that went along with it. So there's plenty of blame to go around. But the point is, he does sit there and say, I can't turn off my feelings for you. Just like I can't turn off my feelings for Lonnie. So he practically just like, listen, this isn't a we getting back together right now. This is a I need time. And what I guess for soap opera reasons, this is where we're gonna go. In real life applications, it's one of those things where it's like you either need to tell them to kick rocks, or like, because sometimes I feel like when people sit there and say they need time, then at some point it does fall on that person to be like, alright, you shouldn't leave this person in limbo. You either sit there and tell them that they're going to get back together, or we're done. But keeping someone in limbo isn't fair to anyone. You know, like if you're basically sitting there saying you're gonna give him a chance a little bit, or give this person a chance, and then you're just like, yeah, well, I kind of decided not to, and I thought you were gonna get the hint. It's sort of the same thing with, I hate to sit there and say this word, but ghosting. Either you just tell them that you're done, like we don't want to see this person anymore, or don't leave them in limbo. That's pretty much what I'm basically trying to say. Oh, and after Lonnie talks to Tamarin about the lies and everything like that, I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me that was just like, this makes sense as far as Lonnie still feeling hurt, still feeling sad about, all the lies that have been told to her, And so, on that, I get it. Hell, even just how she felt, it's not something that should just go away, Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me that was like, alright, I'm not gonna lie, this is getting kind of old. And I feel so bad saying that. And I know I gotta sit there and do another reference to GH. There was a point where they had, and I know some people may not know this, or know these characters, but Star Manning practically thought that she lost her daughter and her boyfriend in this tragic accident. And so for a couple of days, she was really sad and mopey and stuff like that. And there was people in the comment section, practically telling her, oh, you need to get over it. This is getting kind of old. It's getting kind of boring. And it's like, yo, how are you just going to sit there and expect her to go from like 1 to 60 and be like, oh, well, I'm totally over it now. I'm with Michael and we're all cool and we're great. It's like, no, this is kind of something that needs to happen. So I feel bad for Snither saying, here we go again. Lonnie's kind of sad and, about the lies and the hurt and this is getting so old. I feel bad for saying that because now I'm among the people that I practically called jackasses kind of rushing that whole emotional process along. But yeah. After Eli comes in there and embraces her with a hug because she's still sad. See, after that, Eli tells Lonnie that, hey, by the way, your friend Kristen, because she was talking about Kristen, yeah, she's not in jail. Yeah, she pretty much is gone. And so, they both come to the conclusion that she escaped. After Lonnie tells Eli, hey, listen, I had nothing to do with that. I thought we were good. We talked. We kind of pieced things out. She even helped me kind of, work out some issues or whatever. I thought we were cool. And Eli's like, no, I believe you. And so they go to Brady's place because Lonnie's like, alright, if she's going to go anywhere, she's going to want to see her daughter. So they go there. And of course, when they get there, she ain't there. But Rachel is there, which is good. Because I'm like, listen, if you want to be on the run, that's fine. But you should not be sitting there subjecting your daughter to life on the run, and aliases, and all that other stuff. Like, let her be a kid. Regardless how you feel for Brady. How you feel about Brady. So they get there, and they realize that she's not there. So, I don't know. But now I think about it, since both Gwen and Ava did her solid, did Kristen a solid, Kristen should technically have no reason to betray them, especially, help Xander get back Sarah, since they got bad blood anyway. So I guess this whole resolution about Sarah being in who knows where, they're just not going to get to that. There's a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up, and that's just another giant glare. You got Sarah, you got Hope, you got Jennifer. It's like, what are we doing? I know the show's been on for years, and you've done some amazing episodes, I gotta sit there and say. But you got some holes that you kind of need to fill, because they're not getting any smaller. Just saying. Anyway, I think that's pretty much about it. If I forgot anything, please write it down in the comment section below. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. Thank you for watching again, and I will see you in the next video.